A lot of you know about our next guest from the blockbuster movie Unplanned, or from her powerful speech at the RNC convention. After 8 years at Planned Parenthood, Abby Johnson saw some incredible things. But she says it was the abortion she witnessed that changed her life. Abby left the organization determined to expose Planned Parenthood and advocate for the unborn. Now she's the founder of And Then There Were None, a ministry that helped more than 430 workers leave the abortion industry. Abby, thanks so much for joining us here at the Values Voter Summit.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
I'm going to jump right into this. Abby, take our participants behind the curtain at Planned Parenthood.
Sure. You know, Planned Parenthood is our country's largest abortion provider, as most of you know. I worked there for 8 years of my life, believing that I was there helping women, serving them, and believing the lie that we were there to keep abortion safe, legal, and rare. Because back then, when I started with Planned Parenthood in 2001, that was the talking point, safe, legal, and rare. But now we've moved really into a new era of Planned Parenthood. And those talking points are gone. Now it is about making abortion accessible at all cost. And that includes the cost of safety to the mother. They're no longer concerned with keeping abortion safe to women, although we know that abortion is never truly safe. In order for an abortion to be deemed successful, a unique and individual human being must be killed. And that's the antithesis of safety and why abortion can never be considered healthcare. But for the woman, we know that abortion is not safe, and the abortion industry is not concerned about safety for the woman. They are only concerned about access, elective abortion at all times, for any reason, through all 9 months of pregnancy.
Now, Abby, it's pretty incredible the work you're doing through your ministry and helping those that are involved in the abortion industry come out. I mean, over 430 of those that have been involved. Is there a common denominator? Is there something that's common about, oh, I had no idea, or I realized this? What is it that helps these mostly women come out of this industry?
You know, I actually need to update that because we're actually right at 600 now who have left the industry, and even 7 full-time abortion doctors who have put down their abortion instruments and are now fighting for life. And you know, Tony, what we find is that it's usually one of two things. It's either something has happened with a baby, so a baby has been born alive and they have been forced to kill that baby that has been born alive. We had a woman who left one time, actually an entire clinic of workers who left after seeing an abortion of quadruplets. So something traumatic with a child that has taken place in the clinic, or there's been something traumatic with a woman. So a woman who has been left to hemorrhage, to death or almost to death on a table. Something traumatic with a woman, something that caused them to really open their eyes. The veil was lifted. And now these workers are seeing, wait a minute, we were here to help women. That's what we were told. We were here to help women, but now we are hurting them. And we are now victimizing women. And so it's usually one of those two things. And that's when they call us. And when they call us, that veil has been ripped away, almost like a Band-Aid. And they're wounded and they're hurting. And they don't see themselves as victims because they recognize that they have bought into this lie, many times very eagerly, bought into the lie for money, for whatever it may be. But they realize that they bought into this evil and now they need to flee that evil. And that's really where we come in. We want to surround them with support and we want to help them flee that evil as quickly as possible.
So Abby, part of that, as I understand your answer to that, is the understanding of the human side of these babies. And I think that seems to be one of the things that opens the door for so many people, whether they're in the abortion industry or considering an abortion. And that seems to be why Planned Parenthood fights so aggressively to stop an understanding that these are human beings.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's the number one reason that they fight against ultrasound legislation across the states. They do not want women to see the ultrasounds of their babies because the ultrasound exposes the lie of the abortion industry. It shows the women that inside of their wombs is a living human being with a beating heart. And so, what would be the big deal, right? What would be the big deal if a woman went into an abortion facility and she was, okay, she made a choice for abortion, but then she sees her ultrasound and she then makes a choice for life? Aren't you pro-choice, abortion industry? Aren't you pro-choice, abortion lobby? Aren't you for a woman making an informed choice? But you see, that's the lie of the abortion lobby. They are not for choice. And we know that. They are for abortion. That's why the whole name pro-choice, that's why it's such a lie. No woman walks into an abortion clinic wanting to have an abortion. They are only walking into an abortion clinic because they feel like they have no other choice. And so, the abortion industry is not about information. It is not about consent. The abortion industry thrives off of misinformation and off of fear. And they exploit that fear. They exploit these vulnerable women at their lowest point in their life. And they do it in the name of money.
Abby, before we run out of time, I want to ask you this as we approach an election, and we've seen over the last year a big discussion about the born alive, those babies who survive an abortion only to be denied health care by some who, in positions of influence want, New York, Virginia. How big of an issue is that in terms of vulnerability for the abortion industry?
Listen, this is happening all over the country. And I don't want people to be fooled that this is only happening in some states or it's only happening in late-term abortion providers. I need people to understand that this is happening in every state, all around the country. We have abortion workers coming to our ministry. We have them coming to us saying, we were only supposed to be doing abortions up until 16 weeks, but they would, missize the baby intentionally. They would size the baby at 16 weeks, but this baby was really 22 weeks. And that baby would be born alive. And we would sit there and watch it suffocate to death. Or we would put it in a bucket until it drowned to death. Or they would put a cloth over its face until it suffocated. This is happening in every single state across the country. It's happening in abortion clinics down the streets from where you live. These abortion providers that are participating in this barbaric, in this evil, in these demonic acts, they need to face penalties. They need to face charges. This is murder that is taking place inside of these facilities. And I think that it is a misconception to believe that it's only taking place in just a handful of facilities. That is a farce. It's happening far more often than we even understand and realize.
Abby Johnson, thank you so much for joining us here at the Values Voter Summit, and thank you for all that you're doing on behalf of life.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
And folks, I want to encourage you with what you've just heard. That's what's on the ballot this fall. That's what we're talking about. A party that would support what Abby just described, allowing babies to die after they survive an attempt on their life through abortion. Or a party who says, you know what, we need to give them medical care. That's a choice that we have to make. I want to encourage you to take the challenge, to pray, to vote and to stand.